Hello and welcome to the Pixelated Realms Gamescast, your guide through the digital landscape, unlocking your untangling, not unlocking. This is what happens when Alex goes away. Untangling the mysteries of your favorite titles and discussing the latest and greatest in video game fun. I'm your host, Tyler Salerno, obviously not Alex Salerno, and joined by my good friend Dustin today. We're coming at you, just us two. Alex is out. Dustin, how you doing? How are things?
I was good. I mean, that choke right now, though, is just ridiculous.
Now
Just
you're
like
now you're
we were
thrown off
I
entirely.
know, talking that before, like, oh, we got this memorized. Alex like says it so many times, and then it's like,
It's good. You only have to, we've only been doing it for over a year now.
I know. Yeah, but now we appreciate Alex a little bit more.
I know.
But,
We miss him. But yeah, it's good to be here on another episode. We have plenty of things to talk about. We're on the agenda today. We're just going to do our normal talk about what we're playing, what's been going on. I think we're going to chat a little bit about World of Warcraft. We're going to chat about, like I said, what we've been playing. We'll do some housekeeping. Of course, in the middle of the episode today, we'll go ahead and discuss our audience questions, as we always do. If you do want to submit a question, which we highly encourage, please go to pixelatedrealms.org/ask and submit that question. We will read that at the midpoint in the episode. And then our main topic today is probably not going to surprise a lot of people, but we want to talk about the pricing of the new PS5 Pro that came out. So there's a lot of discussion about that right now and a little bit of controversy because pricing is always a little controversial. So let's dive into it. So Dustin, what have you been playing lately just with it?
I have not been playing anything this week.
Wow, not playing anything.
No, because I've just been like so sucked into Fairy Tale, man. So
interesting.
Watching anime, sucked into Fairy Tale, caught up on the episode of One Piece last night that aired.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'm still behind.
Yeah, just been grinding. Anime. I finally jumped off Netflix and because
got the Crunchyroll.
Yeah, because I was watching Fairy Tale on Hulu. Yeah. And then I was actually like 3 episodes. They only had the first 50 episodes on Hulu. And then I logged in and I was at episode like 47. And then it was no longer on the platform. And I looked on Twitter and people were like, yeah, it's gone. And someone Hulu responded like, sorry, like, we'll let you know if it ever comes back. And I was like, God damn it. Well, at least I was already preparing to have to upgrade anyways because I only had 3 more episodes available. But yeah, so I jumped on that, and now I can catch up on because Netflix is also 1 week behind on One Piece.
Oh yeah.
So Crunchyroll still has like a little bit of a head start on it. But I am gonna I'm gonna try Deadlock this week. I got invited to it. Yeah, I got invited to check it out by a friend, and I don't know how that works, but if I can invite people, I'm gonna invite you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, I honestly don't. I've definitely heard of Deadlock. I don't have a lot of information on it. Do you know much about it?
It's developed by Valve, and so
wow. Okay.
Anything Valve does,
of course,
typically been very good. So this game's in like early access. Not even early access. Isn't like invite it's only
alpha
beta or whatever. Yeah, so like you can only play if you're invited. But I think they have like millions of invites out there. So
okay.
I don't think it's
I took a look on Steam. It's tagged as a MOBA third-person shooter team-based PvP. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a shit ton of stuff, but yeah. I think it's like third person instead of top down.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my question, because Valve is also responsible for Counter-Strike. So, like, are we gonna get some like Counter-Strike vibes?
I don't know. I mean, let's see here. Honestly, I haven't watched too much of Deadlock, so I need to like actually. Let's see. Okay.
Well, you're gonna get a chance to play it, so we'll get the good review later, huh?
On 6, yeah. Here, like, everyone's got different classes. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna check it out for sure.
It looks kind of interesting. I mean, first and foremost, like Valve is a pretty reputable company. I can't think of like reasons not to trust Valve. I guess like maybe game developers don't. But yeah, this kind of looks like Rogue Company a little bit. I don't know if you remember Rogue Company. I think I want to say that was like an EA or an Ubisoft. I don't remember. But yeah, it has that like third person. You know what this kind of looks like to me? It kind of looks like it's trying to be a little bit of like their Team Fortress 2 successor. Just a little bit. Maybe I'm reading that wrong, but like the cartoony style kind
Definitely the art style for sure. I'm reading this, or I'm watching a little bit of a clip, and like you
Yeah.
actually have the MOBA vibe, where like it looks like you have like NPCs
Lanes.
fighting against each other in lanes.
Oh
But
wow, yeah, I see that now.
it's like a third person, like I think you're in a city. I don't know. I mean, we'll
This looks
see. It's a pretty interesting concept.
This is for me. So like when we're just taking a little look at gameplay, guys. I mean, when I look at this, like I see like this looks like Smite, but like way cleaner. You know what I mean? Like with that third person like view of a MOBA, but it just
Yeah.
looks way cleaner. The art style looks like way like more interesting, and it looks kind of Team Fortress 2 like. I don't know. I'm like, this is like definitely piqued my interest. So I want to see what you think when you play it. And this is one of those games to me, and I could be wrong, but like this is one of those games that's either gonna like be a absolute hit and everyone's gonna want to play it, or it's just gonna kind of go into obscurity, kind of like
I think
Concord or
it's
something
gonna
like that.
likely be a hit because
That'd
it's
be awesome.
Valve, and like
Let's see if we
they
have a
make so
release
few
window.
games, that like anything that they do put out typically does like really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the one thing I'm really curious about this is like how like ganking will kind of work, because like in a top-down MOBA, like you
Yeah.
can really see the whole map. You kind of see where the enemy's moving. You can kind of anticipate distances for like whether or not
I mean,
you're
that's what
actually able
it's
to reach them.
right. That's
You
the
know,
important part. Yeah.
but in this, it's going to be much more difficult to be able to like tell that kind of stuff. Like, and like you're not going to be able to see someone coming into your lane from the river, or and how do you, I guess, on both sides, it's a little harder to coordinate, like someone pushing into your lane to gank one of the opponents versus also like defending it, right? Like, also seems like it'd be more difficult because I don't like see a map on here on the screen.
Really? Oh, on the gameplay I was watching, he had a map on the bottom right hand side, just like a MOBA.
Okay, the one I have up doesn't have it. So, but yeah.
That being
Anyways,
said,
cool.
I can bring a little bit of experience into this. So there was this 2K Games game that I was brought in and paid to play test because they are in Warehouse 13's located in Northern California, close to where I went to college. And they brought us in to play Battleborn. It wasn't called Battleborn at the time. It was called like Super Secret Project or something. And if you aren't familiar with Battleborn, which I assume most people aren't, it's very much a MOBA third person. That being said, shit, is my memory failing me? Was it actually first person? Either way, it's a team battle MOBA. It was a MOBA shooter that was very similar to this idea that we see in Deadlock. And I remember playtesting it and being like, yeah, this is really fun, guys. Like, I think this is super cool. And it came out and it just bombed. Like, no one played it at all. It totally bombed.
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's first person.
It is first person, yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. I really hope that's not the case with this Deadlock, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I'll try to play it this week so I can come with some feedback next week.
Love it.
But what about you?
For myself, so first and foremost, Alex and I beat the campaign in Space Marines 2,
Nice.
Which, holy shit, like, I'll post screenshots and stuff. I don't want to like ruin things too much, but like cinematically, it might have been like maybe the most gorgeous like ending to a game. It had like Halo 2 vibes when it's like da 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 da, and you're going in like on the thing, like, and like, so like you're just they just did such a good job without ruining too much. They did such a good job of being like, this is the final battle. Let's go in with a team of Space Marines and a fucking tank. And, and like, they just like really like encapsulate that feeling of like going to war versus this huge army. And so they really just freaking nailed it. It was just gorgeous. It was fun. It's not very long. Like, it was only 10, 12 hours for the whole campaign. But yeah, it was absolutely breathtaking. And
Nice.
then other than that, I've been playing WoW, the WoW expansion a little bit. It's kind of curious. I wanted to talk about it a little bit because it's getting huge like accolades. It's getting a lot of appreciation, high reviews, and I'm not like I've played every WoW expansion, and I'm not saying this one isn't enjoyable. It's been great so far. It's just not like standing out to me as anything like particularly special. And so I'm kind of trying to like, as I'm playing, I'm just kind of like trying to find like, where's this, kind of spark that everyone's saying is so interesting in this expansion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too because like I just read about the new feature where basically borrowing from Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
you no longer have to play with humans
Right.
to do some of the content.
In the dungeon content, yeah, specifically.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that because as someone like you who puts like has put like 20,000 plus hours into WoW, most of mine coming in vanilla and Burning Crusade and then vanilla classic. Like WoW helped introduce me to friends that I've now had for 20 plus years. Even if we don't game together anymore, like we're still in a Discord, we still like I still chime in. Like some of them are still playing. They're animals. But like I don't like the idea that WoW is being positioned now in a way like especially I saw some of the IGN review and like, hey, I total respect to that person.
Yeah.
They like that they don't have to. All their friends
They
have
can
moved
take their
on,
time.
and they can like take their time and do what they want, and that's fine. But I just don't feel like that's at its core like what
The
MMO
game's
is all
about.
about.
Yeah.
Like it's about like interacting with people, and like I think like, guilds can be a lot of work. Let me just say that like joining a guild can be a ton of work, especially guilds that are pushing for in-game content.
Socially, oh my god, yeah.
And even socially, there's a lot of like politics and dynamics and personalities.
I mean, like some of the most frustrating social situations I've ever been in my life is because of World of Warcraft.
Yeah, but it's also like so fucking rewarding that like I highly recommend anyone that plays WoW to find a guild, even one that's like casual, and it's really just about finding that group of people that play regularly and that you can have like-minded interests around the game and that you can do content with, because that's what makes the game so much fun. Like I can't even imagine wanting to like level by myself without really playing with any guildies and then doing all the dungeon content by myself with NPCs. Like it literally eliminates the point of the game saying like mass multiplayer online when
if you're doing it solo
by yourself. Like
I don't know. I don't know if I think it's super detrimental. So just to review what the system is basically hello. Hi, Sophie. So basically, instead of, as part of the story content of this expansion, as you go through it, you are basically required to go through dungeons. Dungeons are traditionally a 5-person activity in World of Warcraft, so you do have to go to usually strangers and, get together. There is systems that make this very easy. But yeah, regardless, you do have to interact with strangers. And in this game, the chances of a stranger wanting to take their time is 1%. And so I understand that frustration and being able to take your time and go through with NPC characters. I have no problem with it. To me, it's just like a small luxury item that's nice to have. Final Fantasy has had this for a couple expansions now, so I'm not like unfamiliar with it. But I'm just, and like I said, I've haven't even completed the campaign yet. I've been jumping between games because of the podcast, so there's still a lot for me to see. But yeah, I just don't see those things making like that big of a difference to me. Like I have no problem like taking my time in a dungeon, even if people are yelling at me. I'll be like, that's fine. I'm doing this quest over here. I don't care. So I don't know. The social aspect of WoW, I think like you still have to you're still going to have to participate in it if you want to do anything of any challenge. But like, if you really just want to play WoW, like kind of on the story mode, and like that's how you want to do it, that's cool. I just don't think it's that like game changing,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's super game change. I don't think it makes the game worse by any means. Like for the normal player, I just someone who's played it for so much like you, like I would never want to experience WoW that way. And I get everybody's like, there's different strokes for different folks. But like, if you are like someone who wants to sit back and enjoy the art of a dungeon, like, cool, like maybe do that one time,
Yeah.
and like
You're not going to want it, but you have to do that dungeon multiple times as part
exactly
of how the game
exactly. So
exists.
it's like you're probably gonna do that dungeon at least 20 times, So it's like it's not like you're not gonna get to see the whole thing in pretty like in detail. So I don't know.
Well, I think we're focusing on that aspect a lot. I think another part of the review on IGN was that the pacing of the end game was really good. So I want to see that because that's really important, right? I mean, a lot of the times, a lot of us are blowing through the campaign, not in a sense that we're just blowing through it, but just because you just experience the story, you kill the people for the quests, and it's over. It's not like the challenging part of the game. Like, I want to see how this end game develops. The way it's paced is really important. I found, like, in Dragonflight, I really enjoyed the professions at the end, so I'm looking forward to, like, kind of doing the profession stuff again, rolling new characters. Another thing they changed that actually was, honestly, I mean, maybe I'm just a wimp, but they changed it so now the allied races are easier to unlock. I don't know if you ever played during the allied races, but it required quite a few like achievements. Like if you wanted the Zandalari trolls, you basically have to beat the entire Zandalar campaign. And now it's just like a simpler quest that takes like a few minutes instead of like hours and hours of content.
I never unlock flying because to unlock flying in every expansion is like such a huge task, and I know that it's meant. I don't know if they still do this. I assume they do.
Well, now it's a Dragonflight, so it's a whole separate mechanic.
Yeah, but I mean, like, however, like you have to unlock it. It was just such a fucking nightmare of like the most insane things.
Well, back in the day, it was like a huge grind of money. You're like just trying to like fundraise money. That was the big problem.
Yeah, but you had to, because you had to have like 3 million cloth needs to like be deposited, and you need to
But
like
you'd go in Burning Crusade, right? You would use cloth to gain reputation, so you could get 10% off of your mount.
yeah,
Well,
so
both in classic too.
it's just fucking ridiculous. So I guess there's also the warband system, right? Which
Yeah.
sounds like it's a count-wide progression. So what
So
does that mean exactly?
So I'm not an expert in it yet, but it's basically similar to the Lost Ark system, where you basically have a war band, which is you're getting bonuses for having more max level characters. So, for example, you have one max level character, you go to level your alt, you might be getting like a 5% EXP bonus on that next character because you already have a max level character. But the additional side of that is like you don't have to regrind rep anymore. Grinded rep, it just moves over to all your characters. So people who play alts really, really enjoy that change. I haven't done multiple alts yet, so I can't really talk to it much, but it's been really well accepted so far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like that change either, honestly. Like, I mean, like, okay, as a player, I would, because obviously now I'm exalted with multiple people. I can go get the same gear or whatever I was trying to get with that faction for all my characters, which is nice. But it's like I didn't grind exalted on that character, so I don't know. Like a part of me, like, and I never grind exalted for shit because I'm too lazy to do it. But the idea
it's a little
that,
different
like,
now.
I guess like because in WoW, at least previously, again, I haven't played the last couple expansions. It's like every character is like so individualized, and it's like its own person, So like what I did on my druid, I don't know if I like the idea of everything I did on my druid also transferring over to my blood elf because it's a different person.
Well, now there's certain there's, but your context is you're thinking of like end game factions as part of like I wouldn't call them like extra, but like it's not strictly required for you to like sit there and grind them. In the new expansions, you are interacting with specific like groups of people, and that progression is like wholly part of the campaign now. So you
Okay.
cannot avoid grinding. It's not even like exalted anymore. It's like 1 to 30. Like it's a scale.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's very much, and then you'll unlock like things as you progress that are for the most part like pretty much essential for the game.
Yeah. I mean,
So
what
yeah.
what Blizzard has done over the years continuously, to some good and some bad. We'll see what people ultimately think of some of these things. I think the Warband stuff, if that's the case, people obviously are going to really like that because they don't want to
Yeah.
grind those
They
things
don't want
over
to
again.
regrind. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was always been my biggest thing with WoW. It's kept me away from it. I don't like grinding. I fucking hate daily quests. I hate having to log in and do a quest every day or something just because that's going to get me closer to this goal that's going to take forever. But
I
I'd say
mean, I
like
think yeah.
what I was going to
Sorry, go
say
ahead.
is I think what they've done over the years continuously is to make the game more accessible, and I think that's what
Yeah.
these new features are. Right now, you don't need to do dungeons with people; you can do them on your own. That's accessibility. This warband thing also not necessarily accessibility,
Well,
but it makes it
more
easier.
characters. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it easier. So it makes it so people don't feel like it challenges people to have more characters. And what about like
I got to say one thing.
purchases like mounts? Do those transfer multiple characters?
Oh yeah,
Do you
they have
buy
for
one?
years. For
Yeah.
years. Yeah. I got to say though, story-wise, I'm a little like confused. So like I'm someone who does enjoy the Warcraft storyline a lot. It's not perfect, of course. It's far from perfect, but I'm like still a little confused by like this story, and I'm like still kind of just like, hey, remember Sylvanas and Ghostlands who like betrayed everyone and then she just kind of disappeared into death, quote. And then like the dragons, and then we're just kind of putting that to rest. And then like we casually killed an old god, and now this Zaratheth person. I can't even say it. So this new villain, like, is just some random person from a few expansions ago. I'm just kind of like, where are we going with this? And like, what is Azeroth and what's going on? Like, so I don't know. I'm still a little skeptical, but I enjoyed the story, so I'm gonna keep diving in.
What the hell's the Earthen? That's the new dwarf
They're
race.
basically like a race of like they're like dwarves from the crust of Azeroth, created by the Titans and forgotten about or something or other.
What's
They both get earthen.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah.
weren't you talking about dark elves?
Yeah, so there's a one that those are from, so the Zandalari trolls and the Void Elves are from different expansions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, let's enough about WoW. We need to play more before we talk about it more.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's as good as everyone says it is. We'll move on to some questions. Once again, if you want to ask us a question when we talk about it in the middle of the show, that is pixelatedrealms.org/ask. Please submit questions. We love them. So we got one question today from the main man, Ralph. Thank you, Ralph, as always. Ralph's question is, who is your favorite companion character? Example, BD1 from Fallen Jedi. This is a great question because there's a lot of really good companion characters out there. Do you have one? Do you want to think, Dustin? Because I probably have a few I can think about.
My favorite companion character. Let me think about it.
I have a couple. Like, I'm going to think of one that was, I'm not going to say early on because it's not early on, but one of my original favorites was Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite. Because not only was she like a really charming character that you like wanted to protect as the character in the game, but she like did really subtle things that were helpful. You'd be like, I'm out of ammo, damn. And then Elizabeth would be like, here's extra ammo, and throw it to you. And like the way that psychology worked, I ended up like appreciating her by the end. I'm like, well, she's always there for me, when I need her. So yeah, she was one of my original favorites. What do you got?
Well, the most obvious would be Navi from Zelda, but she's kind of a bitch, so she's not actually like my
That's your
favorite.
favorite?
Yeah, she's not like that's just the first that popped in my head. I think she's one of the
Yeah.
most iconic, but I don't think she's nice.
I'm not okay with
You know, I think if I was gonna go one like that way, I'd say I like Cortana much better than Navi
Hmm.
from the
What if
Halo
you named
series.
a companion that like had an in-game effect, right?
So I was gonna say I googled it really quickly because I was kind of blanking on other ones other than those two. And I will say my favorite companion is Yoshi.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a really
Yoshi's
good
a
one.
beast.
I'm like the other ones. I like. Yeah, I think Nyx deserves a shout out too with Star Wars Outlaws. Nyx is a wonderful companion, and maybe that's what prompted Ralph's question. But yeah, shout out to Nyx as
Well,
well.
there's also some that you could like maybe consider companions, but like they're playable. Like,
Hmm.
is Tails a companion? You know,
Yeah, I'd consider
is
Tails a
Luigi a
companion.
companion?
Nah, Luigi's like a dedicated character to me.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, Tails
Yeah,
can be too, depending on which one you play.
that's what I
Uh,
mean. Tails is like a backup character sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, specifically, I'm thinking about characters that are like have some kind of mechanical attribute to the game,
yeah,
however small. Man, I was just thinking about another Atreyu or boy from or I don't want to ruin it, but God of War, the son in
yeah.
God of War. I think he is a really great one because the way they design that game is like Atreyu, right? That's his name. Am I
I
wrong?
don't know. I never played it.
Yeah. Oh my god, you got every episode. I'm just like, you got to play this game.
I
You
didn't
really
have
should
the
play it.
PS4,
It's on
so
PC. You can. It's on sale
I
right
mean,
now.
I should play it on the PS5. But I'm looking
But
at the
either way,
list.
sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was
I'm
just
looking at the
saying.
list of the top
Yeah.
12 on
Uh-huh.
the gamer.
What do we
But
got?
if you have anything else on that one, and then I'll dive
No,
into
I was just saying it's a great example of like you're running around as Kratos, but then you hit these buttons and he just organically like interacts with you. I just thought that was a really good example of a great companion.
Yeah, so the list here, 12 top companions. The 12th is Chum Bucket from Mad Max. Then
He's a great companion. Okay,
you
I
get
like that one.
Quiet from Metal Gear Solid 5, which based on this picture, she should be much
Oh,
higher. Bullet from
if
Blair
you know, you know.
Witch.
From Blair
Marin,
Witch.
yeah, it
What
looks
the?
like a dog.
Okay,
It's
I
a
didn't
dog
play
game.
that game.
Yeah, Marin from Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Mm.
Jackie Wells from Cyberpunk 2077.
Jackie. Oh,
Prompto, Ignis, and Gladius from Final Fantasy 15.
I don't. Okay, I kind of see
Yeah.
it.
Sam from Uncharted.
Don't count him.
Luis from New Tales from the Borderlands.
Okay.
Elizabeth from Bioshock.
Yeah.
Mimir from God of War and Ragnarok.
Oh, he's the head. Yeah.
Yeah, Rocket, Drax, Gamora, and Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. And then number one is Ellie from The Last of Us.
Ellie.
Which is insane that Cortana, Navi,
See, but I don't think people consider them companions. Ellie at least has like a physical form and interacts in the game. You know?
I don't know. I guess with me, like companion lean more towards like someone the main character like leans on throughout for like help.
Yeah.
You know,
To me, like the minimum requirement is they have to either physically exist, they have to physically interact with the game in some way. And Cortana is technically his hologram AI, but she does technically like hack things or whatever. You know, I don't know.
Yoshi
That's
should
logistics.
100% be on this. I don't know how Yoshi doesn't make it.
Yeah,
on this
I
list.
don't know how Yoshi isn't on there. That's ridiculous.
All right.
Yeah, cool. That's yeah, that's a good question, Ralph. Thanks. So, great. Let's get into our main topic today. So we wanted to talk about the announcement of the PS5 Pro. Not a huge surprise. We've been kind of waiting for this. But the big surprise is that there's a big whopping $700 price tag on this, and people are pretty upset. So just for reference, the regular PS5 is retail for about $450. So that's like over a 50% increase for your Pro version. Let's talk about it.
So I've been like on the fence about this because at announce I was like $700. Go fuck yourself, Sony. Like, and I was like, God, Sony, like you guys were doing so well, like just crushing it this whole console generation, and then Concord completely flops, and then you guys do this, and it's just been a horrible, horrible like 6 weeks for you guys.
Yeah.
But like honestly, the more I've thought about this, the more like $700 isn't that unreasonable. Because I was like, well, if you were to go out and buy like a 4090 for like $1,500, how long would that video card actually last you? Like, could you get 2 generations out of it? Like
Yeah.
console generations? Probably not. I don't know. Like, because the 1080 Ti is just very slightly more powerful than the 4060, but it doesn't have ray tracing. Obviously, that's the biggest thing. No ray tracing.
Well, it's like, I mean, I think it's funny because I'm like, I also feel a little jaded because I'm a PC person too, and I'm like, so it's $350 for basically the additional graphics card, essentially, right? I mean, like, you're basically getting upgraded graphics for that, and to
No,
me,
because
that doesn't seem.
the base is 500, right? So it's $200.
They said 450, but yeah,
Maybe the discless is 450. So that's still $300 then, right? Or 250? It's $250 more. So if you look at it in terms of what you're getting as an upgrade off the regular PlayStation 5, I don't think it's worth the upgrade. I don't. But if you're just looking at it as a standalone product, like, then again, like the 2080 Ti came out in 2017, so it's about 7 years old. The PlayStation 5 came out in 2020. We'll probably get a PlayStation 6 around 2027, 2026, probably 2027-ish. So you could say like the 1080 Ti basically lasted you one console cycle. It came out about 6 months after the PlayStation 4
okay,
Pro.
but let me propose this. I thought this was an interesting thing notated. The PS3, when announced in 2006, was a price tag of $600.
Yeah.
It was the same reaction, and that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, when I saw that the price tag for the PS5 was $450, I was like, that actually feels low to me. And I was like, didn't we pay more
Well, that's
back
the
in the day?
discless one, remember? But yeah,
That was
this one's
discless,
also
yeah.
discless, so I guess it's.
And so I don't know. To me, I think from a like hardware perspective, like I can justify that cost in my head. But that being said, as someone who owns a PS5, am I eager to go spend $700 to upgrade mine to a PS5 Pro? No, not at all. If you didn't own a PlayStation and now you're like, well, I want one, yeah, you probably just want to drop the extra money at this point to get the enhanced performance because we have things. So you're going to get ray tracing now. You're going to get higher end graphics.
But it still won't play GTA 6 at 60 FPS, it said. Like very,
I know. I was just looking at that too.
So I was talking to somebody else about this, and I brought up the same question. I was like, who's the market for this? Because if you already have a PlayStation 5, then is it worth upgrading? Probably not. But if you don't have a PlayStation 5, then it's probably not that important to you in general, and you're probably not going to go drop $700.
Yeah.
You'd probably just rather now wait, and I bet you at Black Friday we'll probably see PlayStation 5 discs with a controller and a game for sub $500. Like we'll finally start seeing like the deeper discounts on the original PS5. But my whole thing has just been like money wise, right? Like, can you justify it as a standalone piece of hardware versus a PC? Because that's what everyone's talking. That's the way I've seen some media try to position it. Like there was like, I think it was PC Gamer, and it was like, yes, it costs $700, but I spent twice that just on my GPU. So like the thing I've been trying to figure out is how long will that GPU last? Like, will you get 10 years out of a 4090? Probably not. You're probably looking at like a 8 years, which is about the life of a console. Obviously, the 4090 is going to fucking dick on anything the PlayStation 5 Pro can do. It's not even close. I mean, the 4070 still outperforms the PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yeah, but I feel like it's less about making these direct comparisons to graphics cards and saying like you said yourself, like who is this actually for? And I think you raised a good point. It's like if you would have bought a PS5, you would have, if you were going to buy a PS5, you probably would have bought one already. And if you haven't, then like, why are you spending $700 on the Pro now? I don't know. I'm curious to see like how big this performance actually like is pushed, because like the PS5 to me is fine performance. It's like, but like if I had the choice between my PC and a PlayStation, obviously I'd pick my PC. So I don't know. I'm curious to see who buys this. Like you were saying, I'm almost not expecting it to sell that much.
Yeah, well, the reason I've been looking at it the way I have with GPUs is because the argument I've seen a lot online is if you're going to spend $700 on a PlayStation 5 Pro, why aren't you just buying a PC? Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I've been seeing. And, if you were to get a 4070, it's about $500. So you could probably build a solid PC that's going to last you, be able to play basically anything that comes out on PC for 5 years at about like $1,200. Like maybe $1,000. You could probably do it for $1,000, especially if you're getting stuff on sale, things like that. Like you get the 4070, case is like 100, power supply's like 100, RAM's like $80.
Yeah, but not everyone wants to play on PC. There's a lot of people who are just.
No, I know, but I'm just talking about this
console
specific
gamers,
this argument specifically. And one thing I thought about, and I actually commented on Twitter about it, was like people were talking about how much a PC would cost versus how much the PlayStation 5 Pro costs. And people are also leaving out the cost of peripherals. Like
$70 controller.
Yeah,
but
I mean, like if you're building a PC, now you need to go buy a mouse. You need to go buy a keyboard. You need to go buy a mouse mat. You need a headset. Yeah. Like you can pretty much, if you want quality gear, like whatever your PC cost, add $300 minimum.
Of course,
$250 I'd say minimum, to now get like quality gaming peripheral stuff. So
I think as adults we tend to, and like myself included, I think we tend to forget what it was like as kids, and it was like when you were 12, like a $500 to $700 purchase even nowadays is significant, right? Like you're either saving, you have some great parents on a birthday or a Christmas, you know what I mean? So like I'm just thinking from the younger crowd's perspective, you need an all-in-one solution. You're not going to convince your parents to buy you the full computer plus the headphone. Maybe you will, but you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm like you once again, like you were saying, I don't really know who this is for. Digging around a little, I did find some numbers, and let's see if this changes our opinions. Oni is saying the CPU is the same as the PS5, and so is the SSD speed. So that's interesting. However, the GPU has a 67% more computing cores, 28% faster RAM, and 48% faster rendering. 45% faster, sorry. It also has is pushing their new ray tracing, automatic AI assisted game upscaling for 4K, and a new pro mode for games that will combine 60 FPS and 4K together.
I hate that everyone's just starting throwing AI on this shit. It's just like, and it's probably not even AI. It's probably something that was like already being designed that wasn't called AI, and then AI like took off and like, let's just call it AI upscaling instead of just saying like auto upscaling or something like that.
Right. Upscaling has existed before the AI stuff became really popular. So yeah. But I mean, I don't know. To me, those are things like I need to see. Like to me, 28% faster RAM and 45% faster rendering could be a lot. It could not be a lot, depending on what game you're playing. I don't know. I just feel like that doesn't mean much.
How many games are being created to push the PS5 Pro to its limit? That's the other thing, right? Like if the games aren't being created, like you see this all the time.
Space Marines 2 would be a good one. That will push it, right?
I mean, but you think about like Unreal, right? Like Unreal every year, not every year, when they launch a new engine, they put out like this like video. And it has like the most fucking insane graphics you've ever seen in a video game. Like Unreal 5, like I think it was like that like canyon you were going through in when they first announced it, and you're like, holy shit, dude, the video games look like
it's just
like
hyper realistic.
Yeah. But like games aren't developed to push to that extreme
Yeah,
of
because they
graphics.
have to focus on like actual gameplay.
Well, also nobody would be able to fucking play it because you'd need a
Right.
4090, right?
Yeah,
Like
of
you
course.
wouldn't like it's literally pushing the hardware that exists to its absolute limit to like create this insanity. And games aren't developed that way because they don't want only 1% of the community to be able to play it. But PlayStation's the same way. Like how many developers right now are getting a PS5 Pro dev kit and creating their game to
Right.
push the PS5 Pro as hard as it can, but then like realizing that if the game is created natively to run on the PS5 Pro with those limitations, how will it run on PlayStation 5? Will it even be accessible on PlayStation 4 at that point? So you have to like make sure you're not like overly gatekeeping because you don't want to limit consumers, right? So
Right. Well, I mean, one thing I also want to look at too is like this obsession with 4K, where it's like, look, guys, like I work in video production and the production industry. Like, you don't need 4K really. Like, you're wasting processing power. Might as well just do 2K and try to get a better frames per second. So like, I don't know, to me that's a little gimmicky. I mean, I get it, it's kind of with the standard of today that 4K is, but like if you're trying to run your games at 4K, you're probably getting crappy FPS. So yeah, I don't know.
So the last thing I'll say on this is that the other great thing about console, and I'm a PC guy, like just everyone else, I am a fucking PC guy. I did not have a PlayStation 4. I did not buy a PlayStation 5 until the Spider-Man 2 came out. I got the special edition one because my kid's obsessed with Spider-Man. I don't have a Switch. I don't have an Xbox.
I don't play games.
Like I am a PC gamer. That's what I PC game on. That's what I play most of my games on. But even at $700, it's an insane value, I think, because the
like
other
good
thing,
value.
yeah, the other thing we don't talk about is like, look at Alex. He has like a $4,000 computer that's like
And
a
it
year
crashed.
old, and like it fucking blew up, and he had to put a bunch of money into fixing it.
Yeah.
Like consoles historically are very stable. Yeah, we've had the red ring of death.
I know the ring of deaths and Xbox 360,
shit like that, but it's super rare. Okay, the
Yeah.
vast majority of people have these consoles for 10 plus years. They still work. I mean, like that's why people still sell N64s and Super Nintendos. They still work. They're 20 fucking years old. Like these things are just tanks. PCs are not that. PCs are very fickle. It's very like that's why
they outdate really quickly, relatively speaking.
So even if a 4090 could get you through 10 plus years of gaming, the odds, honestly, that 4090 lasts 10 years without going bad is probably pretty low. At that point, like how long can you drive a Lamborghini before it blows up? Like
it needs servicing frequently.
So yeah, unless you're like cleaning out your fans and constantly like maintaining your computer, which I never fucking do. I never do that shit.
I do it, and still things still go wrong.
So ultimately, I think that if you're a big console gamer, then the PlayStation 5 Pro is not that bad of a value. What do I wish it was $100 cheaper? Yes. I would say my biggest worry is less about the PS5 Pro price. It's that what will this then make the PlayStation 6? Because every Pro version has still been cheaper than the next console generation. So we are now looking at a trend. For. Yeah, we are looking at a trend that is likely going to take the PlayStation 6 to $749 or $800.
Yeah.
So that's a bigger worry for me than upgrading to a Pro.
Yeah. I like your point though, guys. I mean, I like what you were saying though. It's like the consoles have this longevity that's kind of beautiful, and we're almost forgetting about it today. Like, don't forget your DVDs, don't forget your VHSs, and because like, I mean, not to be grim, but like if an EMP went off, the world blew up, like we don't have the cloud anymore. We don't have our digital access. So there is something great about just having like physical hardware that does the job and lasts. So if you play your PS5 every single day and it's your baby, maybe PS5 Pro is.
Yeah. The last thing I will say to counter argue my own argument about longevity and value. If you are also using your PC for daily use, like I use my same gaming PC for work. My kids will probably eventually use it for school. to do homework on, then that $1,200 versus $700 starts to look a lot different, because now, like, I am using this every day. I use it for 8+ hours a day at least, and it does a
Yeah, but
shit ton of
that's
different stuff for me.
yeah.
So if you're looking at, again, value, and you're saying like, well, $700 is a great value, $1,200 for a PC, if you're using every, is also a great fucking value. You know, so
Yeah. I
they're
think to
both.
me,
It's just whatever you really need, whatever you're going to use your for. If you're buying a PC strictly to video game on, and that is all you're going to do it. Like, you're like, oh, I have a work laptop. I don't need a fucking game. I don't need to I have a work laptop. My PC's just for gaming. Honestly, I'd probably say just get a fucking PlayStation.
yeah. I mean, consoles are reliable. I still love my Switch. I wish I played it more. So yeah, I think, there's a place for it, but we'll have to check. We'll have to recheck when the sales like start happening. It wasn't that, like, it was like a couple months from now it releases or something. It wasn't that far from now. So we'll have to see how the sales go. And
I'll be
see who
surprised
buys
if
it.
it tops 10 million. If it tops 10 million, I'll be shocked.
I'm gonna be curious if I know anyone who's gonna buy one. Like, genuinely, I'm just curious. So
I know.
you're basically getting like 20 to 40%. Maybe David. Yeah. So okay, cool. Well, any other thoughts on that before we wrap it up?
No.
Awesome. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to be notified when we post new episodes. We do post new episodes every Tuesday at 8 a.m. or earlier on podcast services and YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram and Threads and YouTube at Pixelated Realms Podcast. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.